Welcome to the OtherWorldsGG Community Cast. This is episode number 16. I'm Table for Two, and I'm joined by Mellified and Alien Pickle. How you guys doing?
I am doing delightfully well. How are you?
I'm all right. How you doing?
I'm delightfully better.
Hey, there he is.
I was undelightful for about a week and something there, and now I'm delightful once again.
Did you get the COVIDs? Is that what happened?
No, I got the kidney stone, brother. And they were like, oh, this will be out in 24 to 48 hours. Yeah, not really. Release was delayed several times.
The developers didn't think it was going to be a good enough kidney stone, so they had to put some more.
That bastard was in early access for days.
Yikes!
Must have felt like years, man. I've heard stories is all I can say. But
when they say, it's like this is the equivalent of childbirth, but then I have to remind them that childbirth usually resolves itself within the day.
Mm-hmm.
This went on for 7, so yeah. But now it's cool. I got to go back for some follow-up stuff because money's on the table. Sharks are circling. Please come back. Here's all your appointments.
Well, let's get right on into the news. We'll just get right into all of this stuff. There's a few different pieces of news that have happened over the last couple of weeks that I definitely felt were worthwhile conversation. One of them being the Blizzard Arcade Collection. We didn't really talk about this when it came up, but originally
I used to play Blizzard in the arcade all the time when I was a kid. Is that what you're talking about? Was it no, that was Nintendo.
No, we're talking about so Blizzard has re-released. So you can go right now if you have a Blizzard account right now, you can actually go and download for free. I believe you still can.
Before you say the names of the games, right? So there's Lost Vikings, there's Blackthorn, and there's that racing game that they did.
Rock and Roll Racing.
But I don't understand how they would update that or add more games to it because that's all they got.
So hold on. So here's the deal. So you could actually download these for free through your not the Blizzard client, but if you go to the website and go to your account, I actually can download these games for free through my account. But they're re-releasing them in a package that they've upscaled them. They've done a number of things to them and added them to this arcade thing that you can actually get now and play. And they've recently added 2 more games to it. They added Lost Vikings 2, and I believe the other one was
RPM Racing.
RPM Racing. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, it was the prequel to Rock and Roll Racing.
Did not even know that these existed ever. Not ever heard of them.
So,
well, there might be a reason for that. These were very early, SNES, Game Boy era titles.
Yeah,
I do remember the joke in the office at Blizzard was that Blackthorn won Best Guy with a Gun game of 1995. So that was apparently an award that was given out. So we were very proud of that.
Yeah, it's really interesting that Blizzard has doubled, they haven't doubled down, but they've doubled back on their original statements about their classic games, because there was a point in time where I forget who it was from Blizzard who was like, you think you want this, but you don't. And I think he was referring to old versions of WoW, but
that was Morheim, yeah.
Yeah, but what's so funny about it is they've partnered with GOG to release the original Diablo and Warcraft 1 and 2 on GOG. So you can actually go and get those now. You can actually physically buy them through GOG, which I think is awesome that they partnered with another company to do that, for one. And 2...
Well, I almost think it's a brand thing. They don't want those games associated with their... the main Blizzard brand.
And yet Lost Vikings, Blackthorn, Rock and Roll Racing,
This is Activision saying, tap the back catalog. You gotta produce the box. What do you got? Go pull up the couch cushions and see what's hiding under there. And somebody went, oh, hey, we got these things. You think somebody would want to play these? I mean, they're charging $30 for games that they probably spent, a few months on. They threw in a couple extra games, which I think is fantastic, to be clear. But this is creative bankruptcy. It's the same reason that Hollywood is remaking Godzilla for the 50th time. Or
the latest Godzilla, not so bad.
Well, fair enough.
The other ones were terrible.
Well, that's my point, though, is that we can't come up with anything new, right? We're getting sequels and we're getting remakes because nobody has any original idea.
Out the wazoo, yeah.
Well, I've always thought, it's not just they can't come up with a new IP, because you come up with a new IP pretty easy. But I feel like, well, we have to break a new brand into the market, but there's already consumer familiarity with this existing brand, right? Like, why would you buy a game company, like some publisher? I can think of a few, right? They go out of business, and then you buy them and you get their entire catalog of IPs, and then you just sit on them forever and never make a game. Why do you, it just, wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's patent, hoarding. It's I think the idea is, well, maybe we'll do something with this one day, right? Hell, somebody bought what was it, 34 Studios, the
Kingdoms of Amalur guys.
Yeah, Kingdom of Amalur, which they only made one game. It wasn't like hot IP.
Why would you buy that burden? Like, we're gonna buy a sack of bad reputation. Here we go.
Yeah, bad association, if nothing else. So yeah, I mean, I find it strange, but I think it's a hoarding mentality of, well, if we don't get it, someone else might.
Yeah, that's a real shame, though. It really is, because I like Blizzard's lineup, right? Like, they've got a really great collection of some really great games. I mean, I think we can all agree that there's a lot of stuff that's really good there. But I think as time has gone on, I mean, they're redoing Diablo 2 because that's everybody's favorite, right? So nothing can go wrong there. Warcraft 3, but
Notice they keep putting out these articles that, like the one in PC Games and over last week was like, we're not trying to fix Diablo 2. And like they just keep putting up, like, we're not changing anything. We're not gonna jack this up. Have faith. We're not gonna alter.
Yeah, because they royally screwed Warcraft 3. They really did.
Okay, so they broke in Warcraft 3. They broke the legacy game stuff, and you couldn't do the mod stuff and whatever, because they basically forced everybody up to the latest client.
Right. So even if you had your old CD keys and you had like years ago, like I did, and imported those into your Blizzard account to where you could keep downloading Warcraft 3 and play it, even that they've updated it, and the only version of the game I can download is this new whatever mangled mess that they gave us.
But as far as if you had never played the old version and you didn't have mod history investment in the old version and whatever, but you've never touched Warcraft 3 before, and then you buy the latest and greatest new version, because that's kind of who it was for, I think, was to get the kids
injecting new blood. Yeah,
right. So had you never played the old thing, would you be okay with the new thing?
I don't know.
Actually, a fundamentally broken game.
I'm the wrong person to ask.
Well, but I mean, the point is it a broken game?
Well, it was, and it came out. It did come out buggy. It did come out buggy for what it's worth, and they did patch a lot of that stuff. But in terms of everything else, to a new person, to the layman who had never touched it before, they probably wouldn't have thought anything was wrong with it. But to someone who's got legacy history with the thing, it'd be like going back in and all of a sudden finding Valve out of nowhere went back and fundamentally changed how Half-Life works, and you're like, wait, what? Okay, why?
Yeah, it's there's a lot of stuff in StarCraft, right? I remember whenever they remastered the original StarCraft, and they were like, there's a lot of bugs and behaviors that are in StarCraft that we did not touch because they actually affect the esports tactics that
Right.
people.
Right.
It's like if we went back and fixed these glitches, then it would really piss people off because they rely on those glitches and they're very well known. So we're not doing it. And I feel like if they take the exact same stance with Diablo, that's cool. And do you own that skin pack, the cartoon thing for
StarCraft? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I hope they let that guy do a cartoon skin pack for the new Diablo, because that would be amazing. But they won't. But yeah.
Yeah, the cartoon skin pack for StarCraft is really fun. I do enjoy that. But, moving right along, there's some more Blizzard news. We'll just go ahead and try and get the Blizzard stuff out of the way. But Overwatch director Jeff...
news.
Yeah, no kidding. Overwatch director Jeff Kaplan is leaving Blizzard for unknown reasons. But
we can't get Overwatch 2 out the door. What the hell's going on, guys?
Yeah, well...
It's Overwatch 1.5, right? Because they were like, well, we're not even going to invalidate Overwatch 1 because Overwatch 2 is just more stuff, but then all of that content's going to be playable by Overwatch 1 people.
I think the optics for Blizzard right now is very murky. I think there's a lot going on, and I think it all started. I mean, it started going downhill before this, but it kind of escalated with the whole like everybody's got phone, right? Like that. I think really turned a lot of people against Blizzard.
That's when they turned the corner.
Right.
It was not a good corner.
Yeah.
So what they need to do is they need to package up Blizzard for sale, start a new company, and then buy Blizzard from themselves. And then they can kind of like have some distance from it. And they can quit fucking with it.
Well, I mean,
Isn't that essentially what Bungie did?
Yeah, and more or less that's what Bungie's done. But I can't say that I've liked everything that Bungie's done since they've left with Destiny. But for what it's worth, Destiny's gotten better. But I mean, it's still kind of a weird. I mean, I would love to see Blizzard get away from Activision because I feel like a lot of what's going on with all this is a lot of Activision's push. But I also know that the people that had the heart and soul of what made Blizzard's IP its IP are not there anymore. I mean, we're kind of talking with one right now. So
okay, what's the deal with Blizzard leaving money all over the table because they can't see a cash cow? Like, why is Dota in the hands of Steam when Dota was originally built as a mod for Warcraft?
Right. Well,
why is Auto Chess like, right? Why is all the money getting made by like League of Legends? Right. And
well, there's reasons for that too. There's reasons for that too because of the way Blizzard has built a lot of their ecosystem. I mean, I think not just Blizzard, but a lot of companies have built their ecosystems in a way and built their games in a way to where it's not mod friendly. It's not supportive in a way that lets you kind of like play with it. I mean, that's where a lot of the big things came from. But like even with the Dota thing, they put new terms on Warcraft 3 to prevent the Dota thing in the first place. Like if you make a mod that's so good, we get rights to it. It's like, what?
That is the most Nintendo thing that's ever happened.
Yeah, I was just like, yeah.
It was. I think it did not land well. That was part of the Warcraft 3 Reforged debacle.
Right. Yeah.
And you can understand where it made sense to somebody in the legal department, but had anyone had a brain in their goddamn head at Blizzard, they would have said no. That's a terrible idea. We're going to piss off all of our fans. Yes, it would have saved us the Dota brand, but no. And this is...
Well, no. I know it's getting you fired up because it's getting me fired up because here's how this works. Look at how Valve was built, right? Like Valve started out with their Half-Life stuff. And then from there, people made mods that eventually Valve like scooped up. They gobbled up these mods from the people that made them, hired these people in some cases, and like made them into official games through their thing. And then Valve saw the money on the table that Blizzard was not taking and said, "Hey, Dota." It's like, how about you come over here, guy, and we'll take care of you, and so
Dota was like a fan mod project.
exactly
So it didn't
correct.
cost them a dime. It was just free money.
Correct.
And I think it wasn't even so much like, because Steam was late to the game, and it was actually the crap, I can't think of their name, the League of Legends guys, right?
Riot.
Riot.
Yeah, Riot. Yeah, it was like those guys that figured out, like, hey, we need to monetize this thing. We'll just kind of put it in on it.
Yeah,
yeah. The whole MOBA genre started, with Dota, and League of Legends figured out how to monetize it the best, and then everybody else went, oh wait, there's money in this thing? Okay, well, let's get on that gravy train, right? Blizzard did Heroes of the Storm to try to cash in as well,
because they didn't have Dota.
Well, right. They sued Valve over the name, because there were multiple people who worked on the Dota mod, and a couple of them went to Valve and tried to but Blizzard had somebody that also worked on it that had rights to the name, allegedly. So that got settled out of court for a bunch of money, if I remember correctly, but or maybe no money. I don't quite remember now, but it almost doesn't matter. My issue is very personal. Blizzard hired gamers, right? We talk about diversity a lot.
Do you mean gamers like the good version of the word, or gamers the slur version?
Well, I only know the good version, right?
Okay,
to
good.
me, gamers are my brothers and sisters, my friends, right? One of the things that I loved about working at a company who only hired gamers, Blizzard, you bump into somebody, it's awkward, right? Especially with gamers, sometimes with gamers, right? People can be a little awkward socially, and you could talk about games. You could say, hey, what are you playing lately? Hey, what, oh yeah, cool. How have you liked it? Like, even if you haven't played that game, even if you hate that genre, you can at least have a conversation with somebody, because you've got that touch point of commonality. And it made Blizzard it's such a trope to call a company a family, but you felt like you were working with people that you would hang out with, even if you didn't work together. And everybody had the perspective of the customer, because they were the customer. They were the target market. They were the people who we were making games for, were ourselves. And
so you don't do the thing that would piss yourself off. So
right, because you knew instinctively it was a terrible goddamn idea. And what has happened is, as Blizzard has eroded that foundation of its culture, of itself, that they've lost that perspective. And to be fair, there are some terrible, awful, toxic cultures in the gaming, like, companies. Riot was notorious for, one of the senior leaders would go around and fart on people, allegedly. That was the report from multiple employees. Yeah. What kind of frat house bullshit is that? You're a goddamn adult.
Right.
Like, that in a workplace, that's disgusting, right?
Yeah.
There's no excuse for that. But so I understand that some people might take umbrage with, a culture of gamers. That, but it wasn't like that at Blizzard. I don't know, I don't have the insight to say why or anything else. I can just speak to the experience of my experience, and the experience of people that I knew and talked about this with. And that's what makes me sad and angry when we talk about stories like this, is Blizzard lost that core part of its identity somewhere along the way. And it was an erosion, right? This stuff doesn't happen overnight. It just happens slowly.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. And I think you're on to the right track, and to pivot shift to some other news articles. I think you're onto something, because I feel like that's what it's like with Phil Spencer. Like, in the good way. Like, I feel like Phil Spencer's a real gamer. Like, he's a gamer who gets it, and that's why I feel like the Microsoft brand has made such a pivotal shift in the right direction, and, like, doing a lot of really cool things for gamers.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we talk about, executive compensation and things like that as a society, right? Should a CEO get paid 10 times, 100 times more than the average worker, things like that. And those are difficult, thorny questions that I don't have any, bright answers to. But I can say that, in the case of Phil, he has set the tone for the entire Xbox division. And the buck stops with him ultimately, and he makes, by and large, the right calls. They'd had a few missteps trying to, raise the price on Xbox Live, seemed kind of weird, but and that the naming of the Series X and S is terrible. I think we've agreed objectively as a society that was really dumb. But he gets it. And he gets gamers because he is one, and that's easy. And it's not about, oh, well, he's another white guy. Sure, he's another white guy. But his identity is that plus a gamer. And being a gamer, you can appreciate more than just your own perspective, because I'm stepping into the shoes of some alien with tentacles for arms. When I wake up in the morning to play a game, I'm stepping into the shoes of somebody else. And you know what? I believe that makes it easier to empathize with other people when you step out of yourself and into different characters and have different experiences personally.
Right.
So there's my soapbox for the month, I guess.
So
you like tipped your hat to that hentai shit you play. We saw
it. We got a little scoop into Malphite's personal tastes.
Right. There we are. Yes, the dark part of my Steam library has been revealed.
Okay, so the Spencer thing, before you guys
go ahead
run away from that. So with Phil, it's kind of a cult of personality, sort of. I not so much like, because people don't look at the Xbox and they're like, this is the Phil Spencer box, but in reality. It takes that strong singular personality who then will hire other people that are of similar personality, right, to staff around him. And that way he can kind of multiply his culture.
I think you can do it a few ways, right? You like Blizzard, to me, started with a core of gamers, but they made it a central tenet of the company that they only hired gamers.
Well, I mean like the problem with Nintendo right now.
Oh, I see.
Like we had Miyamoto, and he was straight up gamer, and then when Iwata, that was his name, right? Iwata.
Yep.
I think. Okay. Yeah. So he was the guy. He was basically like the Jesus of Nintendo. They still are talking about the guy. He's like 7 years dead at this point, and it was like those were the golden years where we couldn't screw up. And then once he's gone, they're just scrambling, trying to figure out like how to stay afloat, how to pinch pennies, how to like.
Yeah, because even the U.S. Based guy left. I forget his name. Reggie. Yeah. And I felt Reggie did a lot of good for Nintendo too, from the U.S. side of things as well. He always seemed like a really great like champion of like Nintendo. Like he was like, hey. And Reggie's been around for such a long time, but like to kind of go back to it though, with like, I feel like I read more negative stories coming out from Blizzard and more positive stories about other things. I read more negative stories about Nintendo and more positive stories about it's really strange, because I'm striving and I'm kind of like hungry for something good from some of these other companies. But like, I mean, again, you hear like with PlayStation, with Sony, like the whole like PS3 and PS Vita stuff. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh shit, we got to reverse course on this hard, and it's just like, don't worry, those stores are going to continue operations now. And then meanwhile,
tell me the name of the guy at PlayStation.
Can't.
Like, right. And what's the name of the guy at Nintendo? Can't.
I
used to know the new. Well, Bowser's the new.
I know Bowser is the new U.S. head. That's only because his name's Bowser, right?
Right.
Like that's
the only reason he's memorable at all.
Yeah. Right. Oh.
Right. So maybe these companies need to look at their like up to down vote ratio as far as like what the content of the media is about them. It's like, oh yeah, we had 10 negative stories and 2 positives, Meanwhile, over at Microsoft,
Well, and so seriously, like, but meanwhile, over at Microsoft, so we the Sony thing happened, but now Microsoft is actually, and this isn't necessarily Phil Spencer, but Microsoft as a company wants you to be able to build video games at your kitchen table, and so they're coming out with this new program called I'd at Azure, and I actually signed up to be on their information list. I sent them an email. I was like, hey, add me to your press releases. Because I really want to know more about this, because apparently they're wanting to start putting out tools like what you see with Unity or like what you see with Epic. It seems like they're with Unreal. It looks like Microsoft might want to be putting out some of their own tools to let people make games in their ecosystems as well.
Yeah, the ID program was their like indie publishing brand in the back to the 360 era, I think, late 360 era. So it's been around for a while, and it's really just, helping indie developers get into the ecosystem, because a lot of the console manufacturers, everything is set up for AAA publishers, AAA games, and the indies had no idea how to navigate that, and so they tried to make it a little easier. It seems like this is a really cool extension of that by putting the tools in the cloud, so you don't even have to have an Xbox dev set up for a dev station, although they let you do that too with any retail Xbox, which is amazing.
Right.
It used to be those dev. I know the dev kits for some of the older consoles were $1,200 new. Forget about 5-6 years into the life cycle. So, I don't know. I'm excited about that. I think the more you make those tools accessible, the better games you're going to get. The more games you're going to get. So.
Yeah, and I'm pretty excited about it. I really look forward to seeing what they're going to do more with that, with their cloud platforming. Because I'm looking at some stuff too recently with like Unreal Engine, just seeing all the kind of crazy new technologies that are coming out for Unreal Engine, or people that are building in Unreal, or like plugins to work with Unreal to do all kinds of crazy stuff. I get really excited about those things, because it just means the possibilities are endless for better games. Because you look at like you want to talk about made by gamers. I see so many really great things coming from like game communities, or like not for profit, people are like a community based like something mod or game or something like that, and usually it's like, why is this so freaking good and not AAA like developed? Having conversations with a friend of ours on our Discord last night. It's just he was getting frustrated at the notion and the idea that a lot of these AAA games coming out right now are just so lackluster, or they get released fully bugged, and then they have to get patched through the first year of the cycle of the game. And just more and more you're starting to see that, as we're like all these community based made games and stuff like that. All these from mod teams to just some independent stuff, they're all across the board. They're usually better or more interesting than a lot of these AAA stuff. But I mean, to each their own too. But I think Microsoft is heading in a lot of right directions for this. Another thing that they're finally doing though is they're slowly getting away from their Xbox Live Gold stuff, and one of the ways that they're doing that is their free to play games are actually finally free to play. So if there's a game that's supposed to be free to play on the Xbox, you no longer have to have an Xbox Live Gold account to be able to play it online. So that's a nice new thing to have. Just slowly getting away from that.
Are they altering the games with gold thing? Because you used to get like 2 free games.
That's still a thing. That's still a thing. But the stuff that's like an actual, like, this game's free and you can play it for free, but I can't play it online because I don't have an Xbox Live Gold account. Well, now anything that's a free to play game, you can play it online.
Yeah, I just find it kind of odd, interesting that they have 2 ways of, it's like, okay, I have the Game Pass, so I get like this big library of games. Plus, I also get to permanently acquire 2 games a month through the other thing. Right, so I'm just surprised that they have not unified that at this point.
Yeah, I think the games with gold will go away at some point because it doesn't
Right.
really make sense anymore.
Well,
But
do they
it was a
still sell gold,
direct
or
it
do you,
was a direct answer to PlayStation, who, when they added the requirement to have PS Plus to play online, were giving away games, and so Microsoft felt like they had to compete.
No, I understand. I'm just wondering, like, have they quit selling gold and now all you can get is the Game Pass? So then they just wait for the gold memberships
I have
to
not.
all expire
I have
and then
not
drop
seen.
that.
I have not seen Xbox Live Gold as a thing for sale. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I've personally not seen it. The only thing I see all over the place, plastered everywhere, is Game Pass.
Yeah, gold is still around, and when they went to raise the price, they were going to double the price from $5 to $10 a month. A while back now, a few months ago, and they backpedaled on that and said, hey, we're sorry, bad call, but we're going to keep gold around because we do want people to have the option to just do gold and not be forced into Game Pass.
That's like saying, like, well, we want you to have the option to do the substandard thing, but if you insist on being dumb, you can still do it because we just don't want to hear you whine. We're not giving you traction to whine.
Well, and they've got, all the cards printed up. They're in all the stores for gold still, so I suspect they may just kind of let it wind down over the next few years. But
yeah, I'm just, I don't know. They could just say like gold and Game Pass, same thing. So if you buy the gold card, you're buying that, it's all just e-bucks anyway. That's the other thing too, is like, I wish that these companies would get away from like, well, $10 is actually 10,000 freaking like magic stones. So then the game costs 10,000 magic stones to buy the whatever, and it's like, oh, you mean $10? No, you can't say that. It's magic stones, right? It's our weird currency. But what'll happen is like, okay, you buy $10, you get 10,000 magic stones, and the thing that you want to buy costs 850. So now you got 150 that there's no way to spend. So then the only way to spend it is to throw more money, right?
Yep.
So, and I think that's why they did it, because you will always have change rattling around and just be like, oh, well, I need to spend this. I despise it. It's, yeah.
All right. Well, fortunately, we don't have all bad news this episode.
Well, that's a disappointment.
I know. One of the things that both Table for Two and I are actually pretty excited about is a new Kickstarter. Pie Packer is the name of it, which, not in love with the name, but the service, the concept behind it is pretty interesting. Hunter, do you want to run us through that, or?
No, man, you take it away. I've been going off a lot. You take this one.
So, Pie Packer consists of two parts. One is an online service which adds multiplayer to retro games. We're talking NES, we're talking Genesis. They just unlocked Game Boy Color games, and there's video chat integrated. They're going to be adding Twitch chat or Twitch integration as part of their Kickstarter if they hit enough backers or enough funding. And the other component of that, so like there is this online service that is free, but if you're using the free service, you have to have the console in order to play games. If you pay for the online service, you can bring your own games, your own ROMs, which of course you've legitimately obtained or dumped yourself.
So wait, if I have their console, right?
Mm-hmm.
This physical. Now, okay, back to the beginning. So they call it a Pie Packer, right?
Right.
And I'll refrain from the other joke
commenting. Yeah.
Yeah, but it kind of gives the misleading thing that this would be for a Raspberry Pi, because Pi Packer,
right. It is nothing to do with the Raspberry Pi at all.
Have a Raspberry Pi in it.
It may. I don't know what hardware they're using.
That's a very strange name to use. And is it PIE or PI?
PIE.
Okay, even weirder, strange thing.
I don't have an explanation, but
called it the cake box, whatever.
Well, they could have called it Ouya too, and probably.
Oh yikes!
I bet you those rights are cheap.
That's a name I've not heard in a long time.
So
why didn't they tap Macho Man Randy Savage for the Ouya?
Ouya!
Missed opportunity for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the other thing about the Pi Packer is it has a console that has a cartridge slot, and you can actually put cartridge-based games into it. They have adapters for different sizes.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Is like, does that mean if I have an NES, SNES, Genesis collection of cartridges, then I just pop adapters and it'll run all of those?
Yes,
so, okay.
And you can play them online is the big selling point, or with local multiplayer. So they do have 4 USB ports on this little console. You can hook up, any variety of controllers and play locally. So I know Hunter got the lifetime subscription to the online service. He and I both think that'll be a pretty fun, community type of thing, especially because you can stream it on Twitch.
And the nice thing about it is only one of us actually has to have the premium thing, and then we can invite anybody to play with us. Because it's browser based.
You get the physical console.
No. We didn't do the physical console package. So the cool thing is they had a digital only package at $90 for the lifetime thing that does not include the hardware. The hardware was like $180 something to actually get the hardware too. But if you don't need the hardware, you can supply your own ROMs, which I've got a whole bunch of physical carts already that I've dumped my ROMs to.
And let's be real. You can get ROMs in the Sega Genesis Collection on Steam because it's just an emulator running those ROMs. And if you know what to do, you can go in and extract the ROMs yourself and use them with Pi Packer.
Right. And so what I find weird though is a system like Pi Packer. If they said 100% ROM set, right? Everything Genesis ever, or Nintendo is the real win. Right, because Nintendo will kick your door in and shoot your dog if you're even letting people play ROMs in your retro gaming barcade, right? So, how do you actually have a license for not only first-party Nintendo and Genesis stuff, but all that third-party stuff as well?
You don't, because it's bring your own. Right, they're not making any claims as to what you're going to play.
But if I bought the hardware, does it come with ROM?
No. All of this is based on you supplying the games and ROMs yourself. They're just providing the technology and the hardware to let you play them with people.
Okay, so I don't know why that emulator hardware box would be of any attraction to me at all. Then,
if you don't have physical cartridges, it's probably not of interest. But a lot of people have...
If you have a physical cart, you can plug it in and then play it.
Right.
Okay. All right, sure. So there's times, right, when it's hey, man, we should play, insert console game together. And that would be cool. I'm surprised that there just is no solution that sorts that out already.
Well,
I don't need to hold on webcam social bullshit on the
here's
side.
the deal. There's emulators that are out there right now that will let you do certain things like that. So there have been Super Nintendo emulators, there's been N64 emulators and such like that that'll let you do net play, right? So you can do net play with your friends, but the configuration is very kludgy with that kind of stuff, and it can be kind of challenging to try and get all that kind of stuff set up. There have been emulators even beyond that with newer consoles for let's say GameCube, PlayStation 2, and such, where third-party people have made virtual networks. Like X-Link Kai is a great example where you can actually take a physical GameCube and someone playing on an emulator, and they can play together over the internet. But what this is trying to do is it's bringing in the social aspect of it. Like say, like, hey, I want to play this Super Nintendo game. Let's just use Mario Kart, Super Mario Kart for the Super Nintendo. I want to play Super Mario Kart with my friends, but I can't really do that because, they live XYZ away. So this way, I can use their premium service and send you an invite, and all you have to do is open up your web browser and plug your favorite controller in, and we're off to the races, quite literally. And there's integration with Twitch, that's going to be coming, hopefully, if they get that thing unlocked. But, it'll let you play all of these games with their system. So I'm pretty excited about the option of being able to, like, fire up a game, fire up a ROM, or even if you have your own hardware, like plugging the hardware in and, like, plugging that cartridge in and saying, hey, like, let's play, Donkey Kong Country together or some shit like that.
Right. So if you don't have the hardware stuff, do you just go to a web page and you're actually playing a browser emulator?
Yep,
because that's kind of
Well, and here's a little trick. Right now, if you want to, and this is a thing that exists online.
Here comes archive.org.
Archive.org is where you can go right now, and you can actually find games on archive.org, and it loads a MAME version of the emulator in the browser. And I was showing a buddy of mine the other day because he had never heard of this. I was like, yeah, look, you want to play Super Mario? Like, there it is. Through your browser.
So if you had a Chrome extension that is the retro emulator, right? And then that could also connect to another person running a Chrome emulator extension. You've just basically invented this fudge packer thing, right? And at that point, we don't need them.
Yeah, but nobody's done it, right? I mean, this is... I don't think that they're doing anything technology-wise that can't be done at PiePacker, but they're the ones doing it, and they're the ones kind of pulling it all together at this point. So it'll be interesting to see. Maybe people will, make a third-party solution to do the same thing.
It's cool. So how much does it cost for a lifetime Super no hardware membership?
$100.
Wow,
yeah, that's worth it. That's cool. As long as it better outlive me for $100. So.
Well, you'd hope that you'd at least get a few years out of it, but to me, I did do the hardware, and I'll explain why. You can, with the hardware, have multiple people sitting together and play online. So in my family room, in my media room, the kid, one of my kids and I could sit down and start playing, or all of us could play locally, but I have other ways to do that.
Then you can add an extra person in remote.
Right? Exactly. And so Hunter, a table for two could jump online and play with Sushi and me sitting on the couch at our house. And I think that's kind of convenient.
Right.
It's not to say that I couldn't figure out a way to do that. But
I agree. Like because I was having that debate with Mellified too at one point. It's just like, if I've already got hardware to be able to play it here, I don't feel like I need extra hardware in order to do the online component. If I've already got the hardware in the games here, I can just dump the ROMs and play just the virtual version of what I want to do, like online. I don't need to spend the extra money for the hardware, because if I'm going to play locally, I'll just play locally with my stuff that I already have. But
if we're not the burden of there being multiple different hardware, like SNES, Genesis, all the different things. If they could sell just a cartridge, right, that you put in your Sega, and then it's got a network jack on the cartridge plus a flash slot that you stick an SD card and put all your ROMs.
I mean, that'd be cool too. I mean, that'd be cool too. But
one for each console, and that would not fly.
Well, and here's the fun thing about it though. Like I think too of the other application. Like, let's say you have this old cart of whatever, insert X game here. So, like, if Mellified and Sushi were playing it on a Saturday afternoon on one thing, and they're like, oh, well, we could probably get a third person in on this, they could just pop that cart into the other hardware and then invite me to come play with them. It's just like, they don't need... I don't know. I do see the applications of all of it, and I think that's why it's nice that they've provided options, because for me right now, I don't have kids. It's just the only gamer in the house right now is just me, and my wife only plays certain things casually. And, I do plan on building out a man cave and like a LAN party center in my basement. More information on that to come later. But, I don't have an application for it right now. Maybe down the road, I might order the hardware from them or something like that, but at the moment it's not really necessary for my setup. But I definitely see the application of having the physical hardware for others.
I think if I do not collect physical things. I'm actually considering selling my GameCube disc that I've kept because I know they're worth something. I have the super limited edition of the American release of the master levels for was it Ocarina of Time? No, it was
well, no, they did do a the master dungeon level for Ocarina of Time. So they came out with an Ocarina of Time disc where like it was like you can play the original Ocarina of Time, or you can play like the
hard levels. Yes.
Right, where they,
so
like,
I have that, and
the
only way you could get it was to like mail away to Nintendo and order it for a very short window. So like I have one of those. That's actually worth some money. We're talking hundreds of dollars at least. So
if Nintendo were not silly, they would do something like, here's the Zelda Collection, and it's every stinking Zelda game on one disc, right, or cartridge. Right, and it's like, here's the Zelda Collection, everything Zelda that's ever been in one piece of media for $100. Bam. Yeah, right. And then you don't have to like chase after different hardware or ROMs or anything. And they're selling you a physical thing that you can't just copy or whatever, and it would be the solution for people that are a fan of that. Or like the 20 gig every Kirby game ever. We saw that ROM set floating around, and well, no comment on who did it, but it's the thing of like that's what made me think of it. I'm just like, I never really played the Kirby stuff. A lot of people really like some Kirby stuff. The only place I know Kirby from is kind of Smash, and that's a funny ass mechanic where you just like suck up people and spit them out. Cool.
And steal their powers.
Yeah. So it's like, I would maybe be down for like
I will say
purchase a Kirby set.
Yeah, well, and that just goes back to the whole Nintendo thing on like they just need to release some of their stuff on PC. But for what it's worth, the Kirby's Epic Yarn was actually a really clever game, and I enjoyed it a lot. But
so the Kirby thing could actually be like the Master Chief Collection, except it's Kirby.
well, let's go ahead.
Let me finish my thought from how we got sidetracked. I was just going to say, I don't collect physical stuff. The physical stuff that I have collected, I'm thinking of getting rid of because I don't want to keep that stuff. But I don't imagine I'll use the cartridge slot ever. But there are original consoles that I own where I have a flash cart, and I've loaded up the games onto the flash cart, so I don't have to switch discs or switch cartridges on those classic consoles. So, there are possibilities that way too. But ultimately, I think the hardware is a nice to have. The service, though, sounds really, really cool if it delivers on all the things they're promising.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Well, moving on through the news, speaking of like player created content that is, free and really cool. So there was an MMO called Star Wars Galaxies that has died. But fan communities have revived the game, right? And there's one really notable fan community. It's probably got the largest population and the biggest following, which is called Star Wars Galaxies Legends. They have been working for the last several years, and they put out a trailer for their first expansion content, unofficial expansion to Star Wars Galaxies that they've made called Bespin, the City in the Clouds expansion. And they've meticulously gone through and recreated almost the entire city of Bespin from Empire Strikes Back. It's the Cloud City, Empire Strikes Back. And it is extremely detailed. There's a lot to it. It's probably the most expansive and detailed version of Cloud City that we've ever seen in a video game. And I just think
they have altered the game.
Yeah, I pray that they alter it no further. But they've done some wonderful things, and this drops on May the 4th. So on Star Wars Day, May the 4th, you'll be able to update your game to get this new expansion that they've come out with. There's a full new questline series that gets you to Cloud City. There's quests through the city. They've done all kinds of new points of interest and stuff. So if you've ever played in a Star Wars Galaxy game, it's like any other planet. They've added in a whole new slew of things just for this expansion. And I dare say if it's not one of the most impressive things I've seen a community do.
Well, those guys, they're the guys that got space flight working when like none of the other emulator guys could, and then they went in and like fleshed a bunch of stuff out. They've put in like missing content things and whatnot before, right? But this is the first time they've dumped like
new.
A whole DLC of content.
Right, brand new, like all fair. Yeah, 100% brand new content, new outfits, new costumes, like new like achievements, like all kinds of stuff. So they've been, their goal is to try and get everything in that was in the game from like the end when it officially went out, right? So they're still working on trying to put in all of those things, but on the side they've also been working on new content, and that's where this comes into play.
Yeah, and I'm most interested to see, does the new stuff that they put in, did they kind of jank it down so that it blends well with the old stuff, or is it actually like a clear different, like, oh, I'm in the modern stuff now and this actually looks way better?
It's halfway. It's halfway. So I mean, like texturally, it looks better. It's the first city that actually has roads. None of the other cities in the game actually have physical roads. So like being a city in the clouds, it's more how do you put it? It's more industrial, I feel like, maybe. Whereas the other cities are kind of like dirt paths or implied streets and stuff like that. This actually has like, go down like Calrissian Avenue and take a left on Solo Drive or something like that. Like they actually have like real streets, which is kind of cool. New vehicles, new all kinds of new stuff. Like they've been putting a lot of work into it. So hats off to those guys for doing that. That's some pretty impressive stuff. So you can go see the trailer for it now, and then the content drops on May the 4th. So if you're into that, go check it out.
I wonder if their servers are going to be able to handle it.
I don't know.
This is like,
how many people are playing the game though? Too like
how many people are going to come back?
Active population on a regular basis is 1,500, which is not small for a community-led project like this.
Right. So you figure everybody that's ever played it that has an interest in it, this is the thing on the day to come back and get a look, right? And a lot of people that have never played it before, because I think they actually, do you have to bring your own discs, or you just get the launcher? And
Star Wars Galaxy's Legends technically requires you to bring your own discs. However, I'll give you guys a hint. If you go to Reddit, on the SWG subreddit, there's actually links to backup discs. If you need to get backup discs because you've lost your original discs, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, you can go and get them there.
Turn.
Something like
That's
that.
cool. I'm super good with this.
So a little bit of
I'm just thinking like everybody that's ever dipped their toe in those waters is going to be coming back on that day, and good luck, servers. You're gonna need it. I'll wait till the 5th.
Well, and for what
generally a good policy.
And for what it's worth too, I know because I've talked to some of the developers and I'm in some of these Discord servers where some of these guys work on this stuff. The Star Wars Galaxy server is not resource friendly. Like, it takes a lot of resources to run just a single server. Like, I mean, you're talking about a lot of RAM just to run a single planet. So it, and you know, given all the planets that they have in the game before they added in their own stuff, it's quite impressive. So, but anywhoozle, moving on. Mellified posted this the other day on our Discord, and I kind of chuckled at it. But it's this new Fire Cuda gaming hard drive from what's the name of this company? Is this Seagate? Who's making this?
Yeah.
It's there's two versions of it. Well, there's a few versions of it really. There's their 16 terabyte Fire Cuda gaming hub, which has a 16 and an 8 terabyte variant of that, and then they have their Fire Cuda gaming hard drive, which goes from 1, 2, and 5 terabytes of capacity. It's meant to be kind of like overflow storage for your games, and it can also act as a backup. But make sure if you're going to use it for loading games that you've got fast USB connectors. Yeah, it's the only thing I can say about that.
What is different between that thing and just some off-the-shelf SSD external USB thing?
RGB.
Okay, I was just making sure.
Well,
it optimizes my ROMs.
Right, it does, and it gives you higher frame rates too. It's proven.
Oh, jeez.
Like the orcs paint their shit red so that it goes faster. You get an extra inch of movement on the table if your vehicle's red.
Right.
Down. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
A little bit of gaming history trivia I thought was interesting. The original Xbox was very resource constrained, particularly RAM. And Morrowind, the big open world RPG, was actually released on the original Xbox, including both expansions. And in order to do that, Bethesda actually figured out a way to reboot the Xbox without you noticing, to basically make sure as much RAM was available as possible. Just such a neat little hack to make sure the game could actually be played. I thought was pretty neat. Pretty fun.
Was that just like the thing would blink black for like a second and then it's back?
Yep.
But so that's interesting how they would do that and bypass like not only just all the startup stuff, but actually having to like reload game state or something to. Yeah.
Yeah, they did it pretty like early in the game boot, right?
Okay, I was gonna say like did they? Oh, so it's not like mid game we see you're running out of resources. We need to reboot your stuff. Please hold. It was actually like in booting up, they wanted to make sure that you were clean boot and hadn't like hot swapped over or something.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question.
Well,
because I could like you're like 2 hours into the game and it's like frame rate's starting to get kind of bad, and then it blinks and then it's back and it's like everything's fixed now. What happened?
Yeah, that would be interesting.
It would be. Well, in other community like related gaming news, this is just more again, I guess Valve has not given us a Portal 3, so the community decided to say, "Hey, we'll make it," and so they did. Portal Reloaded came out not too long ago. It was a community made, I guess you can call it add-on or expansion to Portal 2. That incorporates a third portal element. So you have your normal, blue portal, red portal, whatever color you want to call it. But they added in a time variant portal that allows you to also shift through time. So it actually takes you from the present into the future. And if you do something in the present, like drop a cube or something like that, that cube will then present itself in the future, and you can manipulate that cube in the future, including it bringing back with you to the present in order to accomplish varying degrees of tasks and stuff like that. It gets very tricky, and it definitely messes with my head a little bit trying to understand the time variance, because there's even one where you actually, because there's the momentum tricks, right? You put a portal on the ceiling, you put one on the ground, and it's like you endlessly fall, or you can use it to like launch yourself across a room. Well, they do the same kind of trick with, like, you can also like launch yourself across a room but through time. So it gets kind of wacky, and props off to those guys. Again, these community made projects, man, they're pretty awesome. I love them.
Yeah, I remember breaking my brain a few times playing through Portal, but holy smokes, that this game sounds fantastic and can't beat the price.
FREE, everybody loves it. You have to own a copy of Portal 2, of course, but yeah.
We've been playing, the three of us, for a few hours, the latest Stellaris update, patch 3.0. Paradox has used science fiction author names for each of their patches, and this is the Dick update, as in Philip K. Dick.
Hey, did you get that Dick update yet?
That's right. I'm gonna download the expansion for mine. So we've been having. I've enjoyed it. I've been playing a single player game as well, but I thought our multiplayer was kind of fun.
Yeah, which we need to get in there and finish, because well, I don't want to go into too many details, but
I was super winning. And
Is that what you think? What's going on? Okay, yeah, we'll
I'm
go
telling
with
you, I'm telling you, from the role playing perspective,
yeah.
I'm winning.
Okay, I will give you that.
The
play has been top notch in our game.
There's a little RP going on, but I'll definitely call it the People's Republic of Alien Pickle. Let's just leave it at that. The glorious leader Pickle.
Yes.
Democrat, yes, the glorious Pickle, the Democratic Space Republic of Picklemania,
Picklemania,
Pennsylvania. Yeah,
that's funny. No, we're having a good time though. It's actually, I used to not want to touch Stellaris, mainly because of just, they were constantly updating it, they were constantly changing the gameplay and how it functioned and stuff like that. And I was like, this is a fully released game. I didn't buy this in EA. Why are they changing the game on me? And yeah, I stopped playing it for a while, and then with this latest Nemesis DLC, I got real curious in it, and I've actually been rather enjoying it. So
a lot of the changes, I think, were well intentioned, but didn't always come out with the amount of polish that I think they needed to really pull it off. And I think my impression, at least, is they kind of held back features and put them all into the 3.0 update and really tried to add some more polish to it. I think it paid off. The game can I love to play on the biggest galaxy with a ton of aliens and get research all the techs and be into the in-game stuff about halfway through the game. And guess what? Sometimes that makes the game feel a little drag, like it's dragging in the end. That's kind of my own fault. And I think that's something that people forget, is the game has so many knobs and sliders. You can customize your experience and really find something that you enjoy. I do know a lot of people who play Stellaris really through the first, or through about 2/3 of the game, and then when they get to the end game, they go on to a new game. But I do think the beginning is where Stellaris really shines. The storytelling, in particular, if you get some of the community mods that add more content, more variety, it can be super, super engaging.
Yeah. So do the community made story things, do they equal or surpass the paid for ones? Like, I don't know why I would throw down $10 for their canned mission stuff whenever the community can just endlessly generate that stuff for free. So.
Yeah, I think they're both good. But yeah, I think you could probably get away without the story packs, DLCs, and just do community mods for a lot of it.
One thing that I feel in Stellaris, where maybe they're turning the corner, right, is in the beginning, it was a super generic 4X, right, where it wasn't its own thing. It was just like, well, You can get in here and like pretend it's Star Trek or Star Wars or Master of Orion or, but we're not going to force on you like what this game is. We don't have our own separate personality. And now it's kind of maybe developing into that. But I think that's a lot of things that was just like features that weren't there. Like, dude, there hasn't been a spy system until just now. For how long has this game been out? And I couldn't do any kind of like set spies over there to sabotage stuff or steal tech.
Yeah, the espionage stuff is really cool.
Yeah, and it's well implemented, but it's like, before people would be like, well, this isn't how it would be in Star Trek, so it doesn't feel right. And it's like, you know what? This is Stellaris now. So it's what it is because it finally has an identity of its own.
Jim, have you been spying on me? Is that what's going on?
We would never spy on our friends.
Oh.
You are our best friends. Everyone. Yes. And
got it. Okay. Good to know.
Be unaware of our nuclear programs.
Good to know. Well, as we're rounding out some of our news here, PlayStation. Well, let's save the good one for last. Amazon cancels Lord of the Rings MMO after dispute with Tencent. Kind of not surprised, I guess.
Well, the disappointing part about this, from Amazon's perspective, is they have what is rumored to be the biggest television show ever in terms of budget. A new Lord of the Rings series set in the Second Age. The movies and stuff were all set in the Third Age, and the allegedly Amazon has spent $1 billion with a B dollars on this TV show. So I'm sure they would have liked to have a Lord of the Rings MMO to tie into that and cross promote and do all of that. But apparently maybe they just decided it wasn't worth fighting over the rights anymore.
And there's already a Lord of the Rings MMO out there right now anyway, so
I mean, if they were making it in Lumberyard, because it'll be like yet another Star Citizen story. It's like Lumberyard claims yet another victim.
Well, I mean, Amazon's making already got an MMO in the process, right? Like what's the name of the one that they've got right now?
New
exactly.
World.
Yeah, New Worlds. That's right. I just haven't tried it out yet myself, so I don't know much about it. I just know it exists.
Yeah, well, it's out in beta too. It's not released yet, so.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean,
got pulled back and completely refactored as well. They were just like, yeah, we're just going to completely reboot this thing. I'm just saying, it's right to curse, dude. Anything that's made with that Cry engine is doomed.
Yeah.
I think there's been some articles that have talked a lot about Amazon's struggles trying to break into the game industry and some speculation on why they failed. I would encourage folks to go read some of those articles and make up their minds. But
bro, they're remaking Lord of the Rings in Unreal, and it's awesome.
Stop.
No, they could use that Unreal Engine like open world generating thing that you showed me.
Yeah,
that would be amazing for an open world game, because you could actually have like a 1-to-1 scale planet if you wanted to.
Yep. It is pretty cool tech, I will admit. And then to round out our stories here, Sony has finally implemented 1080p streaming support for their streaming service.
1080p? It's the future.
Good
if you're one of those
for
people that have PlayStation 5, or does this apply to everybody?
I believe it's for everybody. PlayStation Now is Sony's streaming service that lets you stream PS3 games. So, I
thought you meant stream up to.
Stream down to your PC or PlayStation, because the PS4 quite famously does not have PS3 backward compatibility, and so this was their solution. I suspect the reason that they didn't have 1080p before is that the PS3 games were all 720p pretty much anyway. But they've been adding more PS4 games to the service that you can stream, and so I guess maybe they figured it was time to bump up the resolution. It just made me laugh because it seems weird to hear like Stadia talk about 4K streaming, and they're just adding 1080p.
Pretty freaking weird. Well,
I think the Stadia's 4K, like bandwidth to send a 4K image is pretty hot, right? So
well,
I wonder if Stadia was really like 720p just scaled up craftily to 4K.
It was actually. They revealed that, and there's a lawsuit going on right now, class action lawsuit against them for false advertising as a result.
Of course there is.
Well, and I'd also say take 4K with a grain of salt, like in general. Like, are you it's I'm gonna leave that one on the table.
That leads back to this clickbait YouTube. Like, human eye can't see above 60 FPS.
Right.
Well, it's not even about that though. Like, I'm just saying, like in general, like when you're talking about trying to stream 4K gameplay, there's something else being sacrificed, right? Like it may have a 4K resolution, in air quotes, but something else is being sacrificed to help present that to you.
You mean like chickens? In a kind of way.
No, I don't mean sacrificial. I mean like.
It's like somebody with their console in the back, like yama 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 yama.
Oh god. I did want to mention, because we're talking about cloud stuff. xCloud, the Xbox Cloud service, is doing their PC and iOS beta for Ultimate customers, but it's rolling out in stages. So
Microsoft, send me a key. Give me an invite.
Well, what's funny is I got an invite yesterday, late last night. It came in my inbox, and I clicked through, and it was saying I wasn't eligible. So I don't know like where the disconnect is, because they emailed me and told me to go here and play, and then I went there to play, and it told me no, you can't. So I'm hoping that'll get sorted out soon, but I am very interested to see how that looks.
Right, because you're an iOS user, and it would be good for you. I'm already an Android, so I've been using it on Android with great success, and I'm really looking forward to trying out through the browser, just being able to. It's like a try before you buy kind of a scenario. Like, do I really want to install this on my machine? Let me try this game out.
Yeah, well, and I've got at this point a bunch of consoles wired up through an HDMI 2.0 KVM into a capture card into my PC, kind of taking spiritual guidance from you, Table, in running everything through the capture card. And it's great because I love being able to just have a window on my desktop that's actually a N64 or a GameCube or whatever. But I haven't done that with the Series X or PS5 because they're HDMI 2.1, and I actually have a TV that can do HDMI 2.1 as well. So all of which is to say, I would really, really like the feature that was available for the Xbox One, where you could stream to your desktop PC. And there was third-party software to do it for Mac, but that hasn't been available for the Series X. So I'm hoping as part of this rollout, we'll get the in-home streaming features as well as the cloud streaming, because I actually will use the in-home streaming constantly, I'm sure.
So are you saying that I'm like the guru or something like that? Like the love guru?
I'm saying I liked your idea.
Good.
And I has spent way too long watching YouTube videos explaining which capture card and which capture software offers the lowest latency, because that is the one arguable downside, is you're adding a little bit of extra layers between you and the system.
Yeah, my Elgato HD60S has proven very very responsive and very reliable, so I've been very happy with that.
Yeah, it's just interesting because if you use the Elgato 4K capture software, it adds about 60 milliseconds over OBS.
Wow! All right,
like same hardware, just depending on the software. So that's been I just switched to OBS myself,
and that's interesting that you're using OBS, because I was just using Wow. All right, that's crazy. I didn't even realize that was gonna be the thing. I'll have to look into that sometime.
I'm just kind of going off of some.
Also, yeah, you're using the 4K. I'm not, so that might be where. Okay.
I am not. Yeah, I'm using the Elgato 4K software, but I am on a I'm on a HD60S Plus, so it's pass through 4K capture 1080p.
Well, there it is.
Anyway.
Any other news, gentlemen?
I don't think so. We of course have our big and exciting community giveaway lined up. We are giving away $100 when we hit 100 users. It's really a way to encourage people to get their friends to join the community, help the community grow. We'd love to give that away real soon now. So please help us out. Ask some friends to come join us.
We're already over halfway there, so
yes.
we're getting closer all the time. So tell all your friends.
The hardest part about building a community is just getting the word out. So that's really why we're doing this.
And unfortunately, getting the word out means that we're only doing the podcast right now because I'm still in transition. So, probably come end of May, the campaigning will start to get a little harder.
Yes. Well, and when you're not home, we can talk. No, I know you've got an apartment, and it's even got internet. It's like the future.
Oh my god. Well, yes. So please.
We also have community game nights on Fridays. So please come check it out. Join the Discord. We played some Among Us last night. As we record this,
we had an interesting one last night though. It was like a social Among Us. So it was like we were all like hanging out and chatting while playing at the same time. So it made the interactions a lot more interesting instead of this like constant silence all the time. So it was very enjoyable.
Well, and tense silence too, right? It's they talk about cutting the silence with a knife. Like that was what it always feels like playing Among Us to me.
Yeah. So
it was not that, which was fun.
Yeah, and it made it very entertaining because we were able to like swap stories and tell jokes and just have a really good time with it. So.
You told jokes? I don't remember that part.
Not me specifically. I'm just saying, we collectively. Jesus.
I'm just giving you a hard time. All right. Well, thank you, everyone.
Yeah, this is sorry, Jim. And this has been episode number 16. We'll definitely see you guys in the next one, and thanks for joining us. As always, like Malified said, you guys can catch us over on our Discord server at discord.OtherWorldsGG. If you also go to www.OtherWorlds.gg, you can get links to all of our things, including different places where you can find the podcast, social media, all that kind of stuff. So,
our Cthulhu donation site.
Yes, that's right. So we'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks for joining.
Yahoo!